Hello and welcome to the Midwest Writers Room podcast. We are live at the Midwest Independent Booksellers Association conference. We're so excited to be here with Grace Hagen. She's going to tell us a little bit about the event. Why don't we start out with tell us a little bit about the organization itself and how long has it been around?
Absolutely. The organization, the Midwest Independent Booksellers Association, has been around since the early 80s. It was started with the name the Upper Midwest Booksellers Association, and it is one of, right, exactly. One of the reasons it's not that anymore, I think. We are one of several regional trade organizations for independent booksellers in the country. And our work is to connect independent bookstores with publishers. Our work is to do education for our booksellers, develop resources, put on shows like this, which is both educational and filled with author events. So booksellers are getting to talk to and meet authors, which and then get their advanced review copies signed and fangirl and fanboy and fan person out with favorite authors. So that, I mean, it certainly makes the books easier to sell and way more compelling. And authors talking about their books is one of the main reasons we do this work. It's just dreamy. And then we have several publishers here as well, representing all the authors. They have all the books coming out in the fall catalog and the winter catalog and spring. So right now they're chatting with the booksellers about what we call rep picks, which are the sales reps saying, these are the books that I want to highlight for your next order. Um, and the booksellers are taking notes and deciding which ones are speaking to them. So this is one of the main things that MIBA does, is connecting booksellers to other people in the industry, creating relationships and networking opportunities. The other thing that we do is kind of hold space for concerns that booksellers have that they want to bring to the publishing industry or to the American Booksellers Association, which is the national independent booksellers trade organization. So, all kinds of advocacy and community building. The last thing, we have a program in the spring. That's what we're doing right now. It's called the Spring Road Trip. And we go to different host cities where bookstores pitch for us to come and have the spring road trip there. So we're in Mineral Point now. And that's because the Republic of Letters just did an amazing job inviting us and creating this space. And then we have a fall show, which we do in partnership with the Great Lakes Independent Booksellers Association. That's bigger. The fall shows for all of the industry are just, they're full rooms full of exhibitors, lots more authors, and several more booksellers. So that's one big thing that we do. And then the last thing I wanted to do is, this is another program of ours, the Midwest Indie Bookstore Roadmap. It features all of our bookstore members. It's also an opportunity for people to advertise on one side of it, but the main side is the map, and it's done by artist Kevin Cannon, who's out of the Twin Cities. He creates individual art for every store, whether they're online, brick and mortar, or doing pop-ups. And I think it's something that no other regional does, and we are talking to several of them about how we do it because it's delightful and people love it. We have folks getting in touch with us, book customers, like bookstore customers are who this is for, and asking to buy it so they can send it to their daughter who's going on a road trip this summer, and she's a bibliophile and one wants to frame it and she has one from every year. And there's just lovely, it's so charming. And the map itself.
Right, and that's the whole purpose of this, is just to set up an actual trip or a vacation or a long voyage.
Exactly.
As many of these as you
exactly. Can. Yeah. So or if all of a sudden you realize that you have to be in South Dakota for something, you can find out what independent bookstores are there. Yeah, it's great. And I think something that the bookstores themselves are very, very happy about. We produce it and ship them to every bookstore. That's part of the membership. They don't pay for that. They get hundreds of them that get given out starting Independent Bookstore Day every year.
So, what are some of the events or the special activities you got going on for this
Mhm.
this 2-day event? Walk us through some of that.
Absolutely. We have panel of Midwest Book Award winners. The Midwest Independent Publishers Association, MIPA, not MIBA, is here, and their awardees from last year came and talked about winning that award and their writing processes and being an author in the Midwest. So that was really special. And we're going to continue to partner with them moving forward and further combine the work that we do, which is great. And they also announced finalists for this coming award season. Those will be announced in June at their gala. So we got to break some news, and that was fun. We have a program later today. We have two keynote authors speaking. One is Jane Hamilton, and she is coming and talking about her book, The Phoebe Variations. And then we have J.R. Dawson, who is talking about The Lighthouse at the Edge of the World. And I want to make sure I got that title right. And JR is also going to be giving a keynote, and they're going to be speaking specifically to the theme that we came up with for this event, this road trip, which is like hope is a practice, hope has a spine. Like booksellers are in kind of a weird space with book bans and libraries getting books taken away and presses being pressure to not carry or produce certain kinds of books, and so it's just and tariffs and lots of questions and unknowns with that. And so we really wanted to lift up like being in community and the resources that we do have, and each other, the practices that we have and can share. So JR is going to speak specifically to that with their keynote, which is going to be great. And then I will just say one other highlight today is which is just exemplar of how great the bookselling community is, the indie bookselling community. We do a session called Ideas That Work, and we've got like several categories that we're gonna start with, and then ask booksellers to say like about saving money and generating more income. Like, what idea worked for you? And people throw out things, and we've done this every year. And what's stunning is people share their secrets. It's not competitive. We have bookstores, several in the same cities and towns all over the Midwest, and they work in partnership, in collaboration, as opposed to competition, which is so lovely and different than how we're trained to be in this country, And so it's just the coolest thing to see people connecting, and they'll be sharing documents. Here's my onboarding system, use it. This is why I use this point of sale. Here's a way to get authors to stop by your store, just all of those things. And the booksellers love it, both because they get to share and be shared with. It's really special.
That old phrase, high tide lifts all boats, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And also the community. I mean, that is what you're, a big part of what you're building. Right?
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do, even with the podcast and with the
Yes.
Writers Association.
Yeah.
That sense of community. And I do think that, that is how the lifting up of each other is how it's done.
Yeah.
That is how most of us behave in the world. And you just have to find your people.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And it makes it more sustainable.
Yes.
It might be contrary to what we're trained around in dominant culture, but it really is what keeps people coming back, and why independent bookstores are doing so well, because customers are seeking that out. They're seeking out a place where they feel seen and they feel heard, and that to have conversations and just kind of be around the vibe that is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
I think what's really missing is kind of that Cheers environment, but
Mm-hmm.
in a bookstore.
Exactly.
Like, where everybody knows your name. You
Exactly.
Walk in, you got the smell of the bookstore.
Yes.
And it's kind of this small enclosed space, and you know
Mm-hmm.
who's there, and you know where your favorite sections are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really a lot of what's missing, right? It's
Yeah.
fine to have a massive store like a Barnes and Noble where you have every book you could want.
Yep.
But it's not the same as going
Mm-hmm.
into your local neighborhood
Yep.
bookstore.
Yep. Where people do know your name, and
Yes.
you look for the shelf talkers written by the bookseller that you are simpatico with, and that's the one that you're going to get. And the bookstore I used to work at in St. Louis before I started at MIBA is called Novel Neighbor, and it was amazing to see people come in there once a week to get a book, and you could tell it was part of like their routine and an important thing for them to maintain. And with that said, I think it's also really special to see bookstores recognizing that not everybody can buy a new book, let alone once a week. So our stores, so many of them have programs that make books accessible to all different kinds of people in all different kinds of ways, which is so cool. That recognition, and also being in partnerships with libraries, making suggestions around that, opening up spaces for book clubs. Like, we don't care where you bought the book or if you're borrowing it or whatever, come here. Those kind of things.
One of the trends that
the
I've
same.
seen, you kind of see these little free book drops scattered throughout neighborhoods. It's just like little cubby.
Little
People
free
drop
libraries.
off books. They'll take one from there. They'll drop one off from there. And you see it in big cities, which makes sense. But I'm even seeing out. I live out kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And on the way to one of my golf courses, in somebody's yard, they have this little. It looks
Yeah.
like an old photo or phone booth.
Yeah.
Stand-up phone booth thing.
Oh,
And look glass
delightful.
door, and you can see the books in there. So I go and I throw my books in there.
Yes, that's
See if anybody ever takes
fantastic.
them. They keep moving to the bottom of the pile. So.
Just put a little shelf talker right in there.
Yep.
Why people should pick that one up.
Absolutely.
We, I don't know if you've walked down the street here in Mineral Point, which is a town of 2,000 people, and there's like 5 just on one block of little free libraries posted up where there's books. And I mention it because we have people from Little Free Library, the national organization, coming tomorrow to talk about being able to partner with bookstores.
Oh, nice.
I know several stores are in relationship with Little Free Library already and will take books that they can't sell for whatever reason, because it's damaged or because they got too many and the publisher just said donate it, any number of reasons, and put those in Little Free Library. So a lot of that continuing to share happens that way too. So fun.
Hey, very good. Anything on the future of this going forward?
Yeah.
I mean, have you created your repeatable template to keep going throughout the years? Or what do you think?
I've been in my position permanently as the executive director for just under 2 months, and have templates that from years past for things like the spring road trip, and we keep tweaking and learning and adjusting. But I think definitely we have actionable things that we can keep repeating, and suggestions that we're going to keep adding in as booksellers let us know what works and what doesn't.